Hello my friends, it is officially spring and I am super relieved. Even though it is currently snowing outside right now, I am feeling the spring weather in my bones. I'm ready for it. But I am someone who loves to reflect and look back. And so I thought, why not look at what I made this winter? I am really proud of everything that I made. There is truthfully not as much as I thought that there might be, but at the same time, I have been really trying to take my time and sew slowly, knit slowly, make high quality things that I really like. And so that's why there's not as much, but everything I made is really great and I've been wearing a ton and I love. As well, there's a few like springier pieces in here, but that's okay. I still made them during the winter months, so they count as winter sewing. Now, before we get into it, if you are not yet subscribed, I'd love if you do subscribe to this channel. If you're into making your own clothes and talking about knitting and sewing, that's what I do here. So hang out, click the subscribe. I'd love to have you along for the ride, and let's get into talking about what I made this winter. Let's do it. First thing that I made this month is the Closet Core Onyx Pants. Now, I do work for this company, so if you hear me talk about them sort of more than other companies, it's just because I have access to all of their patterns, so that's kind of why. But I made the Closet Core Onyx Pants, and this is in a really comfy ponte knit fabric. I am obsessed with these. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I would love the fabric color. It's kind of like a blue-gray. It's called Flint, and it's from Core Fabrics, and I get discounts and access to fabrics because they are the sister company of Closet Core. But I really love these pants. I've been wearing them a ton. I do want to make them in black because I think they would be a little bit dressier. They are sort of meant to be something that you can wear that's like really comfy, but honestly in this color they do kind of look like yoga pants, which is totally fine. I wear them a lot around the house and they do feel like a bit more elevated. They are also like the quickest sew I have ever sewed. Like there's 4 pattern pieces and you're just like boop boop boop, and you put them all together, and then there's a fold over waistband, and it's just really nice and clean. This fabric also just is like so smoothing. It makes me feel really nice. They've got like a little kick flare as well. I made them cropped and I just really like the length. I love the look. I might make these a bit longer next time if I do make them in the black, but I just think they're really easy and fun to wear. I also like don't love sewing with knits, but a really stable knit like this was really nice, and I found that like it just sewed up really easy. I also always find Closet Core instructions to be really great, and they give a lot of tips on how to sew with knit fabric, how to sew ponte, how to like top stitch the fabric really neatly, what stitches to use, what stitch length, all that stuff. So I thought that they came together really well, and it was like a really fun, nice first make of the year and something really comfy to wear kind of in the months where you just are like, I'm so tired of this weather, I'm so tired of the snow, I just want to be comfy. You want something with like a soft hand feel. That's kind of what this was about. The next thing that I made was a knit project, and it was the cardigan from Lindsay Degen. It's a play on her name, Degen, so it's got a cute spelling. But I made this in Arcane Fiberworks. It was their worsted weight. Oh, we got Layla in the picture. Hello, Layla. It was the worsted weight base, and it was called Through the Valley, and I absolutely loved working with this yarn. The fabric that it came up with was just so beautiful. It was so fun, really like soft on my fingers. It's a really nice merino. And it was just really enjoyable. It was a bit of a slipperier yarn, so I had to be really careful with my stitches, but it was just really lovely to work with. It feels really high quality. And yeah, I was gifted this like quite some time ago, and so it took me a little while to knit up this cardigan. So a few details about this cardigan. It's a bottom-up cardigan, and so you start with the ribbing, and then you go up through the body, and then you kind of split, and you have the 2 front panels, and then you knit the seams separately. Goodbye, Layla. You knit the sleeves separately, and then you seam them in, and they've got a really interesting sort of decrease that plays into the construction and plays into like the design of the pattern. And I really do love the design. I love the collar. The collar is what inspired me to knit this pattern in the first place, but I had a few little issues with it here and there that I will talk about. So for one, I had never knit a bottom-up pattern before, and I'd never knit a bottom-up cardigan especially, and I did actually end up really liking the fit of this, especially through like the waist, and the length was perfect, but the sleeves ended up being a bit longer, and as a result I lost yarn chicken, and I was really frustrated because I was doing the button placket, and then when I got to the collar, I realized that I was going to have to find different yarn because well, I didn't have enough. And I was really not sure what to do because on one hand, I was like, I could order more, but it's hand-dyed yarn. I didn't know how different the batch would be if I ordered more. And I also I didn't want to order more. I really, like I had planned out the yarn to work and I just don't know what happened along the way. But that's okay, things sometimes happen. I'm always really careful and I try not to be susceptible to yarn chicken, but something occurred and I don't know what it was, but you know, at the end of the day, we lost yarn chicken. That's okay. It all worked out in the end because I had the idea to use a contrast yarn and I love how this turned out. So I ended up using Kremke Soul Wool. It was a merino from them, and this green tied in really nicely with the greens in the cardigan. So I ripped back the button placket, I made that again, and then I also used that yarn for the collar. I will say there was something really funky going on with the button placket. I was having a really hard time and I was noticing that it was really kind of scrunching up and creating this weird separation along the bottom. You can still see that I kind of have that in my version and I'm really tempted to rip it back, but I just don't know if I have like the energy to do that again. But you can kind of see that it like scrunches up at the bottom and there's something going on there. I think what I can sense is that a lot of people had to add more stitches, like they had to cast on more stitches for the button band than Lindsay Degan writes. Someone said that they cast on 30 extra stitches, and I think that I did 20 extra stitches, and I probably could have done 23 or 25 more stitches, and that maybe would have helped with the scrunching. Because when I cast on the amount that Lindsay said, it was way too small, and it was really scrunching up. So I don't know what was going on there. I know that like some people's gauges for button bands can be different, but she didn't give a different gauge in the pattern, so I assumed that it would be fine. I don't know exactly what happened. It's okay. My gauge must be off because also I use the exact buttons that she recommends, like the size of the buttons, but I find that my buttonholes are huge and they often are like sliding through, so I have to sew up the buttonholes a little bit because, well, my buttons are just always popping out, so gotta be careful about that. But overall, I did like the pattern. I do wish that the pattern had a bit more guidance. It's not a very hand-holdy pattern, and I truthfully really need my patterns to be a bit more hand-holdy. Like I really want you to like guide me and like tell me exactly what to do. So for the sleeve, like you have to like either crochet or seam in the sleeves. She doesn't really tell you anything about how to do that. She's just like, do it. Things like that kind of drive me a little bit crazy because I'm just like, oh, like give me more. Like what if I've never done this before? Because I haven't actually done this before. You don't have to create separate resources, but if there's somewhere that you can be guided to, that I think that would be helpful. So, or even like little tips. I was a bit bummed about that aspect. But other than that, I do really like all of her designs. I think they're really fun. They're very like design forward, a bit more fashiony. They're really cool. Really interesting construction, and I do really love the finished result. I just had a few issues, as I mentioned, and at the end of the day, I've been wearing this a ton. I love the yarn, everything about it. It was like, it's one of my favorite things I've ever knit, but yeah, there was a few issues along the way. Okay, so the next thing that I made were the Open Studio shop pant, and they had sent me this pattern maybe a year before I started making the pattern. I don't know why, I just have had a bit of a block about sewing pants. I really like wearing pants, I love making pants, but I had only really sewn elastic waist pants, and I had like a brief introduction to sewing, you know, jeans, but I just didn't like how they turned out. And I always get really stressed about zippers, and I was just feeling really stressed about the process. But these instructions were some of the most delightful instructions that I've ever read. Really lovely process, really enjoyable construction. They're honestly such a great pattern. So I ended up making, the size ended up being probably one size too big, I would say. One thing that I do like about this pattern is that it has back darts. So I was just able to take in the back darts at the waist to get them nice and snug at the waist. They are still a bit too big, but that's okay. I really wanted a bit of an oversized fit. I really wanted a lot of ease through the thighs, and that's exactly what I got. I really like the barrel-shaped leg. I didn't adjust anything within the length of them, so everything is the same other than, like I said, I just took in the darts to make them a bit tighter through the waist. but that was the only adjustment I made to the pattern. They've got a really cool detail along the bottom of the pant. So the cuff band is sort of this really interesting sort of like shape like this. It's kind of like a funnel shape, and that's what helps contribute to the barrel shape. And I love this barrel shape. I know it's really big right now in fashion, and I think that it's such a cool shape. And this one is quite a subtle barrel, but it adds just really nice volume and really nice detail. And because I did some contrast top stitching, it just adds a little bit more of like that designiness to it. But I honestly love this pattern. I would definitely make more of these, and I made them in a 14-ounce denim from Core Fabrics, and it's just such a delightful denim. The thickness of the fabric with the like structure of the pant just makes them so perfect. And because I made them a bit bigger than, you know, they should be, they fit me they're so comfy. I can like live in these pants. Like they feel like jeans sweatpants. They're just so great. And I've been wearing them a ton, and it's really inspired me to sew more hard things. And I actually have a video about sewing hard things that I'll link if you want to check that out. All right, on to the next. Honestly, it wouldn't be a winter if I didn't make at least one Nikko top. I've made probably 5 or 6 of this pattern. I just love it. It's a really well-drafted, really classic turtleneck, and I have made so many of these. I've made dresses and tops. I just love this pattern. I've made so many. And I really just wanted a stripy turtleneck because I was missing one, and then I realized I had striped fabric in my closet. And so the day before I was going out somewhere, I knew I wanted a stripy top to wear with this like really cute little knit vest that I have. And so I was like, oh, I'll just make one. And I made it in an hour. That's like the really nice thing about the Nikko, is that you can make it so quickly. So I just sewed it up in an hour, and it's honestly, I've been wearing it nonstop. I'm gonna have to make another one. I think I have more of that fabric because I just wear it constantly. And I just love that as a basic. It's just so wearable. It's just great. It's honestly a perfect pattern. It's my go-to for years. One of the first knit patterns, if not the first knit pattern I ever made, and one that I will make forever. I just love it. It's great. Nothing more to say about that. Just a classic stripy turtleneck. All right, and then we're going into 2 of my most recent makes. The first one is the Closet Core Jenna. Actually, they're both Closet Core Jenna, but one of them is in this really lovely, solid butter yellow. This is from Core Fabrics. It's their cotton Oxford shirting. This is a really glorious fabric. It's honestly so nice, and I got it complimentary to assist with the marketing for the Jenna shirt. It came out in February, and it's like my favorite shirt pattern. The instructions, and I'm not just saying this because I work for the company, truly this is like some of the best instructions that the team has done to date. They're just so good. This like, well, obviously this is a Closet Core Jenna as well, but the stand here, the collar stand, the construction is honestly mind-blowing. Like, just look on Instagram and search Closet Core Jenna hashtag, and you'll see that everyone's talking about how neat this construction is. It's just a really clever method that I hadn't heard of before. And then also the button placket turned out really nicely. Sorry, the sleeve tower placket. That's the tower placket. Turned out really nice as well. I love it on this one. I've got the 3 colors. I will talk about this more, but I'm just wearing it so it's easy to show you on myself. But I made this butter yellow one first, and I made no mods to it. It's just the size small, and it's quite long, but I like it for tucking in and for tying, and it's just really versatile at that length. And it just turned out so good. I just love it, and I love it with the tortoiseshell buttons. I was gonna do white buttons, but they have a kit for that fabric and for those buttons specifically. So I was like, let's just do that. And it kind of gives like a bit of like a 70s retro vibe. I love it. I think it's really great. So that was my first one, and then I shortly after made this one, and I am so obsessed with this one. So I made it 3 inches shorter. Just with the lengthen, shorten line, I made it 3 inches shorter, and I made no other changes to it. And I was inspired by this photo on Pinterest, and I had seen a few people wearing this stylish shirt, color block stripes, and I was just like, I immediately need to make this. And then at work, we got in this stripy fabric and all these like beautiful colors, and I was like, yes, this is what it's gonna be. I have to do this. So I got the fabric and I did this color blocking, and I'm just so in love with how it turned out. I'm really proud of it. This is honestly some of my best work to date. I've just been really, like I said, trying to sew things that are a bit more complicated, sew things really slowly, and sew them well, and just with love and thoughtfulness. And this is that to me. So just a few notes on making something like this. I will say one thing to be mindful of is how much fabric to get. So this pattern calls for about 2.5 to 3 yards of fabric. But the one thing with this fabric is that the way that the stripes were oriented on the fabric, in order to get the proper length for these front pieces, I basically had to get a yard. So I had to get a yard of this blue, and then I had to get a yard of the pink. And then I was able to get away with a 1/2 yard for the sleeves, for like the yellow and the purple, and yeah, the yellow and the purple. So I was able to do that, but it really took a bit of like a mental math and calculation. So that's just one thing to think about. If you are gonna order this fabric, I'll link it in the description. You wanna get more than 1/2 yard for, you just wanna like be careful with what kind of fabric, or you wanna be careful with what kind of yardage you get. So that's just something to keep in mind, the orientation of the stripes, which way they're facing. If you want them vertical, then you might have to get more fabric to accommodate the length of the fabric of the pattern piece. In my situation, I did it at work, so I was able to like take the pattern pieces and like put them on the fabric and like see how it worked. And because this is also shorter, I shortened it by 3 inches. It fit better. If you don't shorten it, then you know you might need even more fabric. So that's just something to think about with this kind of pattern. But the nice thing is I do have leftover fabric, so I can make little matching shorts, and I think that would be freaking adorable. So that's that. Very simple. Well, it's actually not that simple. It's a bit complicated, but all that to say, I love it. It's beautiful. I'm just so proud of it. Like, look at all these little details. I color blocked basically anywhere that I could, and I just love it. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel ready for spring. I feel like an Easter surprise. And it's just a really special piece in my wardrobe that I'm really happy about, and I just want to make more special things. So I'm really, really pleased with it. And I will show you one last thing. So that's everything that I made over the winter, but I will show you one thing that I'm working on that I honestly thought that I would finish, and I just have not finished. So let me get it. Okay, so clearly we're having a stripey moment right now, because this is, let me just get it for you. Here we go. Which way is the front? There, this is the front. This is my stripe hype sweater from Veronica Lindbergh, I believe, but I will have to put her name on the screen or in the captions. So this is it. We've got one sleeve, we're almost done. You've got the blue there, this reddy orange. We've got this like nice tan, and then the little pastel. I think this is adorable. I really want to wear this with this, so cute. But this has been a bit of a slog. I honestly thought it would go faster, but it's just been taking me forever. So I've got one more sleeve. I'm at the cuff, doing the ribbing, and then I can move on to the other sleeve and the collar and cast this baby off, and I don't know, maybe be able to wear it this season. Probably not, who even knows, because it's getting, well, it's, like I said, it's snowing, but hopefully I'll be able to wear this before the fall. You never know in Montreal, you never know. So this is what I have been working on, and I'm really hoping I can finish this soon, because I've got some spring cast-ons that I want to get into, but I don't think I'll get into that in this video. I just wanted to share everything that I made for the winter, and I did do that. So thank you for watching. If you liked this video, I will appreciate a thumbs up from you. It really is nice, and it shows me that you liked it, and then I can keep making more videos that you like. And if you are wanting to watch more videos from me, you can watch this one where I talk about sewing hard things. It kind of fits in with this theme of like what I want to be making, what's on my list, and I go through some patterns that I have in mind. So check that out there, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.